having me today. It's an absolutely pleasure to share a little bit of my experience. So what we're going to do today, we're going to talk a little bit about Teens for Yoga workshop. What is the LTAD model, which is shortcut of Long-Term Active Development Program that is used worldwide, and it's the basically reference of how to train with teenagers, kids, adults, basically a blueprint of what we as the instructors as well as parents should do when it comes to children, periodization and movement awareness. So before we're gonna go into the theory and everything, so my name is Lukas Wisniewski and I'm a strength and conditioning coach. I used to be a professional footballer. I played football for 13 years for that club over there, which is they are currently champions of Poland, playing successfully in Europa Conference League. Then there's a second club that I used to play for and work as well, and there's a few companies that I work along the way as a strength and conditioning coach, because some of them are in Dublin, the likes of Swan Leisure, Rockmines, Lock 9, and some of them they are abroad, Royal Caribbean Cruise Lines, Lijam, Public Investment Fund of Saudi Arabia, as well as Milan Pax Qatar. So throughout my career, I got the chance to work with a lot of professionals, a lot of like-minded individuals, which helped me gain my skills then gain my skills so I can share that with people along the way. During this presentation, if you guys is gonna have any questions or anything like that, feel free to fire them at me. I'll be more than happy to answer them all. So, moving forward, introduce the benefits of yoga for teens, focusing on holistic approach to physical and mental development. So the topics we are going to cover today, it's the LTAD model, which is, as I said, it's the action plan and the guidance for any type of activities when it comes to children, teenagers and adolescents. We're also going to talk a little bit about the injury prevention, which is, I think, the most important aspect when it comes to training with teens. Benefits of yoga for movement awareness, flexibility and mobility, whereas in my personal opinion, I think this is crucial. Obviously in the sporting world we don't really call that yoga, but technically that is yoga. That's what we do with young athletes when it comes to recovery sessions, when it comes to movement awareness. It's all yoga. The movements that we use, the exercises that we use, we frame it differently. We call that recovery session, we call that technical session, we call that injury prevention. But at the end of the day, the movements that we do, it's strictly yoga movements. So I was lucky enough that during my career, I managed by coincidence become a yoga instructor. So I've done my 200 hours as well, about 8 years ago, and I've never planned to do that. I was just lucky enough that the company that I was going to work for, they funded the course because I had to teach yoga on board Royal Caribbean Cruise Lines, and therefore after doing that for about 4 years, I see the results. After incorporating everything into sports-specific training, I saw my athletes absolutely improve their movement awareness, improve their technique, improve their mind and body connection drastically. So it is crucial, absolutely crucial when it comes to yoga. And at the end, we're going to talk a bit about integration of animal flow movements. Does any of you have any experience with animal flow movements?
I'm thinking of the tails, but
So animal flow movements is basically movements that we copy animals. So basically we have animals such as bear, dog, gorilla, you name it, lizard, crocodile, dog, there's absolutely tons of them. And the reason for that is to make the exercises enjoyable for teenagers. Obviously, if we're going to tell them, right, we're going to do down dog or we're going to go to Savasana, things like that, they might be thinking, whoa, what is that? And What I found is the most successful to keep the teenagers' attention is to do something that is exciting. If they can mimic animals, that's even better. And that works really, really well. And the movements are endless. So you can literally create more movements. Every movement has different progression, whereas we're gonna get to that at the end. So we're gonna have like a little practical session at the end of the workshop where we're gonna experience some of the movements. So, or then understanding the LTAD model for team development. What is the LTD model and its relevance to teams? So, LTAD model is a structural model that provides a roadmap for physical development across different ages and stages. So as you can see here, that's myself with 9 years old. So under 9, team of Jagiellonia Białystok doing recovery session, but in practical yoga session. Okay, so that's what we do with children, for example, because their goal, their physical development at this point is crucial when it comes to learning the skills. So basically, what we want to do, we want to make sure that they are aware how do they move, that they can move physically without bending their body, without using different limbs and different muscles. Second part is the LTAD module focuses on progressive skills development, emphasizing physical literacy, strength and agility. For teens, the LTAD modules focus on train to train, train to compete stages where foundation skills in flexibility, balance and coordinations are essential. So have you heard about LTAD model? No? Okay, so that's even better. So that's the first example of LTAD model. Very basic ones that you can always relate to. So as you can see here, girls from 0 to 6, boys from 0 to 6. So their goal is active start. Basically, the way they crawl, the way they do things when they are younger, that already has impact on how they will look in about 10 or 15 years. If they're gonna develop any type of injuries or if they're gonna develop any type of imbalances, it's usually down to the point what have they done during the 0 to 6 years old, because it's crucial. Second fundament is 6 to 8, 6 to 9 years old. That's where we try to introduce the fundamentals. That's where yoga comes in, because I'm sure you've seen that the way the children squats, yes, yogi squats, their hips are so mobile and so flexible that they can basically stand up without using their hands or anything. Unfortunately, when they get older, it's a struggle to basically do that, because there's lack of flexibility in their hips, lack of flexibility in their muscles, and therefore their range of motion decrease. So we, as the professionals, our goal is to basically keep those fundamentals as a top priority, because those fundamentals, they will develop further. That's why in the sporting world, one of the best activities that you can sign up your children, does any of you knows what that could be? Any type of sport?
Gymnastics.
There you go, yeah, gymnastics. Fundamentals for absolutely any sport. If you're thinking of doing sports or anything like that, gymnastics are absolutely crucial because they focus on flexibility, your own body strength, movement awareness, calisthenics. So basically you work on explosive force. All the movement patterns that are used in future are all covered during gymnastics. Any questions when it comes to that? Okay, so now we're going to go into a bit more tactical or a bit more detailed plan. So as you can see here, we have early childhood, which is females from 6 to 8 years old, male from 6 to 9, then we have late childhood, adolescence and adulthood. So the biological age is usually Tanner stage 1, Tanner stage 1 to 2, Tanner stage 1 to 4 and Tanner stage 5. Then we have maturity, which is another really important aspect, because I'm sure you come across that. You might have nieces or nephews or your own children that they are 12, but they are growing so fast, or they are way taller than the other kids. Does any of you know why is that and what that is called? That physical sensation that children grow so fast during that mode? No? So we call that peak height velocity. So basically the growth of maturation during the ages of 12 to 14, sometimes 15, it all depends on your biological age. We grow a lot. Our voice change, we get more muscular, but during this stage it's actually crucial to keep an eye on it. How fast do we grow? How often do we train? Because imagine your bones, your joints, they could grow up to 1 centimeter over the month. So if you have 12 months, you can grow 12 centimeters. 12 centimeters, that's a lot. And then imagine if you play any type of sports, if you do any other activities during that time. So one aspect is your growth, you're constantly growing, yes. And then the other aspect is you put pressure on your body when it comes to exercise, when it comes to different type of activities. So what is the solution to that, in your opinion? Like, obviously I'll give you the answers in a second, but it'd be nice to, to see your point of view, yeah? So obviously I'm gonna target that differently. Imagine okay, that's my quads, yeah? So I'm growing, yes? My limbs are becoming longer and stronger. So then I'm getting more muscles. So everything's happening here. So what I can do, thinking logically, to basically release that stress from my joints, from my tendons, things like that. What about if I stretch them out? Yes? Would that help? Of course, yes. It's one of the fundamentals when it comes to muscle pain, when it comes to movement awareness, yeah? Stretching them out. Usually any type of tightness within our body, any type of injuries, they usually come from lack of range of motion, or lack of strength, or lack of movement awareness. So if you want to prevent any type of injury, we have to do the work before things happen. So that's why that I would say adolescence, or even late childhood, like late childhood and beginning of adolescence, these years are crucial. And when it comes to statistics, a lot of young children, teens, that's when the make or break happens, because you either push forward without injuries, or you might actually have some injuries and you might have to think different sports. So when it comes to football, so I can only talk from my experience. When I used to play in academy, so out of 100% of players, only 2-3% make it to the first team. So if you look on the scale, like any professional academy, football academy or any sporting academy, they have around 40 to 50 players in one age group, and the group starts from 9 years old to 19 years old. So you can multiply 20 by 10, that's more than 200 children that actually playing, and out of those 200 children, only maybe 4 or 5 will make it to the first team. And a lot of times it comes down to injuries. A lot of times it comes down to lack of awareness, how we can prepare our body for the physical aspect of future. So being a teacher, being an instructor, and having chance working with those children, I think it's a huge privilege. I think it's a huge privilege to teach someone how to be more aware about their body and help them develop. So we'll get to that in a second. So let's just look up on early childhood. So coordination training. Any examples of coordination training? That doesn't have to be at the gym. Okay, I want you to think outside the box. Okay, so cycling. There you go.
Dancing.
There you go. I wanted to say that. Dancing. That's another one. Playing tennis. Yeah, any type of different activities. That's already your muscles, your neurons. They develop. Agility training, balance training, muscular endurance training with own body mass training, so a lot of own body training. Medicine ball with focus on the exercise technique. These are the things that the children at that age, between 6 to 9 years old, they should focus on. Now, moving over to late childhood. So that's when the children starting to be a bit more aware of what they want to do and things like that. That's where their body become a bit stronger, be bigger, so then we can focus on balance training. Any examples of balance training?
Horse riding.
Horse riding, yes. Anything else? Yoga, yeah, that's a great balance training. Plyometrics, those everyone knows what plyometrics means.
No, I don't know.
Plyometrics is a type of physical activity that is solely focusing on speed development. So we call that in the professional world shortening stretch cycle. So basically any type of movements that you do that has really short impact. So that would be ballistic training, okay? Because I'm generating force and I want to explode that force. Plyometric would be some constantly jumping off the ground. I'm creating a short stretch shortening cycle. Doing that type of training, we improve our speed, we improve our short, fast twitch muscle fibers, which are responsible for any type of explosive movements, and which is examples, rope skipping, with the focus on correct jumping and landing mechanism, core strength training, muscular endurance training with own body mass, free weight training with focus on exercise technique. So again, everything what is there, obviously these are the fancy words and things like that, but that's all yoga. You can literally put everything into yoga and you can use all the movements that we learn during a yoga practice into that style of training. And from my own experience, there's more benefits of doing yoga, like 2-3 times a week, a yoga session, putting everything together, like every single aspect of that training, that will get your future athletes or children way further than actually breaking that down. Like today we do balance, tomorrow we do plyometrics, you can literally squeeze it all into yoga. Now, going forward, then we have the adolescents, 12 to 18, 14 to 18. That's where the peak height velocity is happening. So, in this professional world, we normally would test our kids. Every month we would do weight checking, height checking, and then basically we will measure their hip. So we want to know how fast do they grow. In the next slide, I will show you a few examples how that happens, but basically, if you're serious, or if you have any children, or if you want to see one of your students growing a lot, and you know that that child participates in many different sports, it's really important even to mention to the parents, get the test done. You can either do it yourself, it's called PHV, peak height velocity. You can literally Google it, you go to any type of website, it will tell you everything what you need to do. Basically you take 3 different measurements. The first one is the standing one against the wall. Second one is the seated one, so the hips are parallel with your knees. And the last one is the weight. Once you do that, and once you do the correct equations, that will,
physical weight.
yeah, that will give you a number. So if they are within the range, so the range is usually between 1 to 2, they are okay. But if you get the results, they are -2 or -0.5, that means that they are slowly getting to that stage. So they are not there yet, but then you can plan ahead. You can make sure, okay, we are okay now, but within 2-3 months, we have to monitor everybody to see where that's gonna take you. The same when it comes to if we get the results and they are, for example, 2.2. So that means their growth finished and we can slowly introduce the intensity. So we can slowly come back to the high intensity training and more days of training. And this is crucial. Like from my personal experience, this is crucial because that age is make or break. You might have some serious injury during that age, and they are solely because of that we are growing so fast at that age. And that's the time when we might lose the balance, we might lose the coordination. We're actually losing that during that time, and that's why yoga is so important. That's why any type of activities are crucial, because they are building things up. Now, going forward, adulthood, female 18, male 17. Now we are post PH4, so now we are training to compete. Now the training starts really physical. That's when we do balance training, plyometrics, dead jumps, drop heights, course training, free weights, heavy resistance training, hypertrophy, sport specific training, and so on. So that's all great, but we can't forget about movement awareness, because even though we want to be good at that, if we're going to focus solely on this and we're going to forget about our main word, which is mobility, movement awareness, stretching, being able to actually breathe properly, being able to switch off, then those things, they're not going to have such a great impact if we forget about the foundation. And as I mentioned at the start, foundation starts here. Does that make sense? Okay? Is that not too confusing, no? Okay, perfect. So now we the next two slides, they might be a bit more confusing, but I promise after that we're going to go to more pleasant things. So that's the Youth Physical Development YPD model for females. So females, both males, they are a little bit different, so we have to take that into consideration when it comes to training with your children. So again, we have the chronicle age from 2 to 20, age periods, early childhood, middle childhood, adolescence, adulthood, growth rate. So again, that's when the PhD is really important, because we can estimate how fast do they grow. If we put in them up here, up there, up there. Material status, pre, inside or post, and training adaptation. So FMS is a functional movement screen that we use in a professional level, but it's not necessarily has to be used with any type of children. Like if you, most of the things are, you can clearly see with your own eyes. If you see a child and they walk and the ankles walk, falls in or falls out, it's clearly visible that there's something wrong with your ankles. Or if you see a child that they walk or their knee slightly gets out of alignment, again, that can indicate some further issues. It doesn't mean that those issues are happening now. It might be 10, 15 years later when those things gonna shows up. But that starts already in that young age. I'm just gonna show you an example. Imagine if I walk and every single step I take, that happens. Yeah? So imagine we daily do 10,000 steps. And if I do 10,000 steps, and if my feet, my soles fall closer to my inner longitudinal arch, I'm lifting my outer longitudinal arch. So therefore my ankles get out of alignment, my knee gets out of alignment, my hips get out of alignment, so my whole posture is already affected because the way I walk. Okay? And that's the same happens with different leg. So knowing these things, or actually you don't need to know them 100% upside down, but being aware, because you can clearly see some cues. For example, shoes. Have you ever seen children wearing shoes and they are slowly wear out? It happens, okay? It happened to me when I was younger. I had to wear orthotics for about 2 years because of playing football. The shoes are not always comfortable. At that time, because that was about 15 years ago, we didn't know that we have to wear different shoes for different ground. So we just wear shoes, any type of shoes. Sometimes we wear all shoes, too small shoes, too big shoes. We just wanted to play. But then what happened to me, that basically my outer longitudinal arch was that lifted that every single step I took, that's what happened. So then for 2 years I was wearing orthotics. And after 2 years my feet actually helped. I have all straight arches, but I still wear good feet arch supports, which is made of the carbon dioxide, and it basically helps me balance out my feet. Are you familiar, guys, with the feet alignment? Yeah? Yeah? Okay, so
yeah, if they say no, they're going to get smashed.
basically,
Yeah, that's the first thing you're gonna say.
bottom line, like imagine your foot, yeah? As 100% of the pressure. Imagine you put the line into half, yeah? So you have 50% on one side, 50% on the other side. Now cut that line into half again. Okay, so now you want to have 25% here, 25% here, 25% here, 25% here. So then every single step that you take, you place your feet fully on the ground and you get 100% of support going forward. Metatarsal, transversal, outer longitudinal, inner longitudinal. 4 main arches that are responsible for your posture. So basically, if you see any type of movement around here or around here when people walk, that can indicate further injuries. It doesn't mean that they will happen, but yeah, that can ring the bell and just say that something might happen. So that's what FMS does. We analyze, we do functional movement screen, we have ankle tests, we have squat test, we have hinge test, we have straight leg test, we have thoracic spine test, we have bird dog test, and we have eye coordination test. We do that in professional setting just to evaluate our athletes to see if there's any injuries or if there's a posture. And then on top of that, we score those children and athletes as well, because that goes along the way. Their score every single test is between 0 to 3. 0 means perfect, no pain. 1 means a little bit of pain. 2, out of alignment. 3, very serious concern. And once we do this evaluation, we can then plan the training accordingly or even give some corrections to our athletes. That's why training is very, very important. But most of the times, the corrections are from yoga and Pilates. These are the movements that really create the foundation for any type of activity. Now, SSS, that's strength sport specific training, mobility, agility, speed, power. So basically, these are the physical qualities that we are looking for, and that just shows you what we should do ideally with those that type of athletes. Now, going forward, that's the model for males, which is really similar. The only difference is that we introduce hypertrophy a little bit faster. So hypertrophy is the muscle building training. So basically, that doesn't really reflect a lot when it comes to Spartan performance. But sometimes if you, let's just say you have, I don't know, weak calves or weak quads and you want to develop that area, so basically you want to build up a little bit of size, because size mass equals better speed, that's where we are introducing a little bit of hypertrophy training. But it's not really dominant when it comes to sporting performance. If you want to get faster, if you want to get stronger, it's usually strength training, because once you are stronger, that's eventually going to make you faster and more resilient to the injuries.
Well, they'll build up muscle anyway.
Yeah, they will build up muscle. However, hypertrophy, it's the muscle that is empty, if that makes sense. So bodybuilders, especially bodybuilders, they are specifically working with hypertrophy. So you might see that they are really big, they have big muscles, but when it comes to sporting performance, those muscles doesn't really mean much. Yeah, they really gas out very quickly because they don't have big endurance. So their endurance capacity is very low, as well as speed, as well as mobility, as well as different aspects of human body and human biomechanics. So their job is to basically build muscles so they can compete, which is absolutely fine. That's their sports and that's what they do. But when it comes to physicality, fundamentals of the body biomechanics, that is very, very limited and misleading. It's not always the bigger the better.
And can I just ask you, just say you take your young team, I'm assuming we don't want them in free weights. I know you did say balls, because you're looking for them not to go into to do that, to build that muscle until they're fully boned or fully developed,
Yeah.
So not to be in the gym till after the age 16, is that
something around that? So what I would say, peak high velocity testing, if they are in the mid part of PHB, then obviously you want to limit that. You want to mainly focus on your own body movements. Like with your own body weight, you can literally do so much, and it takes so much time to actually be so comfortable using your own body mass as a gym that there's absolutely no need going into the gym until you are 16, 17. However, there are some cases you might have 14, 15-year-old that they have developed so quickly and so good that they are ready to do that. That's why physical testing and basically eye of the coach or the instructor, it's so important, because we can actually screen that person and okay, I can see that you've done this. You're really, really good at FMS. Your sport specific training is great. So then, yes, I can slowly introduce that person. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, I just having a son
Mm-hmm.
that was both
Yeah.
in pain with the growing faster than his muscles were leaving and all that, and then reaching the age when he wanted to build muscle before he was 16. I just think in terms of us
Mm-hmm.
having that awareness to be able to talk to young men who want to build muscle, how to get them into
Yeah.
an edge or something. And
Yeah.
like I could get my son to come and like he didn't.
Mm.
And all like if you do these all cool things, I showed him all these videos
Yeah.
and he still wanted to build.
Oh, and that's the challenge we are facing, and trust me, I face that challenge all the time, because you see young children, young athletes like, oh, coach, I want to go to the gym. Yeah.
And I think they have like full gyms in schools.
They have it,
Yeah.
yeah. My daughter's school, yeah.
So there's things like teen gyms, that's actually become really, really popular around the gyms, that you have an instructor that is qualified, hopefully with the right attitude and right knowledge, and they can slowly introduce those children into their athletic performance. But getting children or teenagers to buy into that, that's the challenge that we are facing. Because I faced that challenge, and it was sometimes having 39 years olds at the gym, and I want them to do foam rolling, I want them to do like a bit of yoga, a bit of recovery, and they all run it around. No, coach, we want to do weights, throwing the balls and things like that. So then that's when that's where the creativity comes in. That's where the animal flows comes in, because that's where we can get them a bit more excited. That's where we can show them, right, okay, forget about that. We're gonna do a bit of movements. We're gonna pretend that we are dog now, you know. And I'm pretending that I'm a dog. I'm pretending that I'm a dog, and things like this. So they get a bit more excited about that, and they want to do the same. So they are not aware of that, but they're actually doing a lot of work. So with children up to age 14, 15, that can work. If they are getting a bit older, it's nice to introduce a little bit of strength training, but it doesn't always have to be weight training. You can introduce bands, jumps on the box, push-ups, down dog, up dog, any type of yoga movements. Like really, in my head, like the movements are endless, you know. And I always say that to everyone: if you are lack ideas, it's usually because you need to not educate yourself a bit more, but just go a bit deeper into your field. Be more creative, because at the end of the day, you work with young children or young teens, which are still kind of young, Right, that all makes sense? Any questions? Okay, so understanding the LTAD model for injury prevention. So the LTAD model consists of multiple stages that align training goals with the child's development. The emphasis of development appropriate progression is the key to preventing injuries in youth. Injuries risk often increase during growth spurts, which is peak high velocity, when bones, tendons and muscles are rapidly changing.
Can I ask,
Yeah.
is that growing pains? Is growing pains, cause did I hear something like, because I myself experienced it, and then did I hear that those aren't a real thing or something?
Yes.
Tell me more about that.
No, it's pain, fortunately. It's
Yeah,
pain.
it's
yeah.
real. It's real, isn't it?
Very real.
Yeah, it's real.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
pain.
and is that what you mean by, is that included in that pH?
Yeah, so actually that's the stage of the big pain, because that's the stage when we are basically more vulnerable to those injuries, because we are growing so much. So our coordination decrease, our lack of movement awareness decrease, because so many things happen within our body inside. And it's
So used to wake
painful.
up with pain.
Yeah, it's
It was real pain.
Yeah.
And I was just so busy, I'm gonna stretch.
And how does that, like, that's real for us then, as teachers in the room.
And he was in 4th class.
Wow,
Yeah.
it's really
He was in
important.
4th class.
Yeah, Lena's the same now, and she's in fourth, and yeah, she like will wake up crying.
When,
She's
Oh,
like,
and,
relaxed.
then-
and it was when he's, and he had all these, and I said, it's only one pain, can we go back to bed? And then it was when his knees, no, then he was complaining about his knees, and I was like, Jesus, they shouldn't be, your knees are supposed to be sound, and then like, I must get around to doing something about it.
Yeah.
And then it's his dad saw his fallen arches, and his dad's like, oh, get him to the physio, for Christ's sake, like his knees is doing fallen arches. But went to a physio, and the physio said to him, do a forward fold. And she couldn't, he literally couldn't go halfway down. I'm like, oh my Jesus, that's my son. How do I not know that he can't? Because he was so tight, and everything pulled, the arches, the knees, the whole lot. Do you know what I mean? Because his bones had just grown, but nothing else had. And he was running around. He wasn't in sport, but he was running around, you know. And so like his homework was to do a forward fold. And he
Look at us,
you know, so
What do you do with the coordination? So I find a lot in the football, like so that the coordination goes at that age. But what can you do? Is it doing the other helps the coordination come back? They get very frustrated and you're good and you're midfield and you have all this and you have the big growth spurt now you're so because your coordination then you're gone all over the place and then you drop out or like, but how do you get their coordination back when they've developed so fast?
Well, training, that's training. So training is number one thing, and number two, it's also a lot of things in their head. So being able to talk to them and just explain them, like, this is the phase that you're in, you know? This is the phase that you need to put in a bit of work. This is natural. Everyone going through that. So just, you know, be more aware of that this is happening. And what we found in our team that people weren't aware. So we host a lot of parents meetings, like once a month we had a parental meeting that we had psychologists, the whole coaching team. So there was psychologists, there was a head coach, assistant coach, strength and conditioning coach, and a goalkeeping coach. So this is the whole team. And we were all sitting down and discuss with those parents, because one thing is being on the pitch with them, with those children, as coaches look after them. And the second thing is when they go home. How do parents talk to them, you know? Because a lot of times during that age, there's a lot of pressure from parents, and like parents, they want their children to compete and be the best all the time, and sometimes that equals, okay, they put more pressure on them, they put them into more type of training. So being able to talk to those children, being able to rationalize that this is absolutely normal, that everyone has gone through that.
or willing it.
Yeah.
There probably is the awareness that they just think they're shit now.
Yeah.
Wrap it all up, forget about it now.
And they think the girls all quitting then at that as well.
Yeah. They all think they have to be athletes.
Yeah.
I don't want to throw the discus for the first time because what if I'm not coming out? I'm like, what the hell?
It's a process. That's why, as I said at the start, only 2-4% become professionals, because there's a lot of make and break during that time. And from my experience, I see that the best players that actually become successful aren't the ones that they were the best in academies. The players that become successful are the players that stay consistent, that stay good, they have good training habits, that they literally focus on what they have to do. They didn't try to be the superstars at the start, you know? And I think that's why psychology, parents, being able to talk to our future athletes is crucial. When it comes to training development, if their coordination is a bit off, yes, we can put more practice into that. There's a lot of different movements that we can do. So there's like single leg movements, where your coordination is basically being able to keep the balance and coordinate your whole body at once. So there's a lot of functional movements that they can do. And again, I always highlight animal from all the yoga, like we talk about those fancy names and everything, but at the end of the day, it all goes to yoga and those type of movements, because that has all. But being able to transmit that and tell to the children and athletes, this is what we're gonna do. That's the hardest part that I found with my athletes. And even myself, like when I was that age, like yoga, strength training, I was like, nobody knew about that. I just wanted to play ball. So that might be one of the reasons why I'm not playing ball anymore. Okay, so we go to the next stage. So that's an example of under 14 team, and that's an example of PHP testing. So basically, as you can see here, that's where we do when we want to predict their height. We want to predict how tall the athletes might be, how fast they are growing, how fast their limbs are growing. So this part is really, really important because for us as a coaches, that is basically bulletproof, okay? I can see, okay, my athlete Johnny, he grew 2 centimeters on his left limb and only 1 on the right limb. There you go, straight away.
There's your coordination and everything.
Yeah, there you go. Me as a coach, okay, highlight that and I go to the next one. Then at the end of the assessment, if I have 5, 6 people that are, their coordination is a bit off, from coaching perspective, I already know, okay, that group has to focus more on coordination. So then that's the periodization comes along. That's where I divide the group of 20 players into small group of 3, 4, 5 players. So then they have a bit of more of individual training, that they have to do a bit of different work. So at the end, I want all my athletes to be the best at the game. But in order to get the best out of them, I have to make sure that their training is customized and tailored specifically to their needs. Because otherwise it can be miss and hit, like we all do. Okay, let's just say I have a group of 30 kids and I'll be like, everyone's gonna do squat jumps. But some children are just not able to do squat jumps yet. But that doesn't mean that they are worse, that doesn't mean that they are not gonna perform. They just need different approach. And predicting their height, predicting their mass is crucial because then we can evaluate. Okay, what's going to happen in 3 years? What's going to happen in 4 years? So in order to do that, again, peak height velocity testing. If you want to predict their age, you just Google it, age prediction. You need their height of their mom, height of their dad, date of birth, height of the children. Once you put that all, that gives you predicted height, adult biological age, Z-score. Z-score, that goes into load management. The Z-score is basically when we train our athletes, and let's just say some of the athletes, they've done more training than the other ones and they have higher Z-score. That means that they basically, their intensity, aerobic capacity is a bit slower. But we're not going to go into that today because that's another, yeah, different. It's a subject for a different day.
But being able to tell the young people and or their parents about this, that they've done research it, and then they can look at educating themselves as to what makes sense.
It's basically being aware. We as adults, instructors, we are there to support those teams or students into their growth, and being able to spot those things and just say, look, you don't have to be like, oh, you're gonna have broken knee or anything like that. You're just gonna say at the end of the class, look, if you don't feel comfortable talking to the teenagers, can I have a call? Can I give a call to your mom? Is your mom picking you up? Can I have a word with her? Like in my previous club, that was really, really common. And then we as the coaches, we actually encourage that. We want to have really open relationship with the parents so they know what is happening, they know how their children are evaluated, and everything was sent it to the parents as well. So there's open book. We do the best for your children and we expect you to do the best for them at the house. But at the end of the day, we want those children to succeed. So being transparent with those things is really, really crucial. Coming back to knee injuries, because there's one specific knee injury that happens a lot during those times, and it's a Hefner knee injuries. Has anyone heard about that?
No.
And it's one of the worst injuries, and it's so common. It happens to over 68% of children playing any type of sport. And it's a Hefner knee injuries, often referred to as Osgood-Schlatter disease, which is apohysitis. Hefner knee injuries are common in young athletes undergoing rapid growth. So that can get you out of the game for 6-7 months. And practically, sorry?
What happens?
What happens? So basically, tendons above your knee, average, they're that overworked and tight that they are preventing your knee to fully extend and flex. So basically, you are not able to run because every single run that you take, you need to extending and flexing. And once that happens, this is so vulnerable that is basically preventing. There's too much tightness, and your cartilage is basically, like you have your knee cartilage, one cartilage over another one. It can lead to the leg amputation if that's not treated properly. It's a really, really bad. Yeah, it's a.
We have a knee model, I have a knee model in there. That's not here.
No, it's crucial. It's a.
So you're saying because of the ligaments above the knee, you have tightness, is it?
Tightness and then lack of strength. Yeah.
So not strong and tight. So when they have a full range of movement. And then what else is happening?
Yeah, once that rip apart, you're losing all the tendons.
So they've lost. So then okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that can lead to basically serious injury for life. And it happens so often. It happens so often, and I usually every child goes through that. Some of the children just recovers faster. Some of them they have struggle recovering. But what any sporting performance, if you send your children to the doctor or osteopath and things like that, their solution to problems are stop playing, stop doing things, sit in the house, do nothing. And again, I don't want to say that that's wrong, because that's doctors, we should listen to the doctors, but my personal opinion, it's opposite. Like, okay, when that happens, that's where we actually need to focus more on extending those muscles, on preventing those injuries. So basically, again, stretching, strengthening, mobilizing, because that wouldn't have happened if that joint was mobile enough to do those things, but it was flexible enough.
So from our point of view, lots of mobility and strength,
Yeah,
balancing
yeah.
one leg, whatever warrior into.
Again, if we look into that, we are balanced at every single thing, and if there's lack of that at the start, unfortunately, that can lead potentially to the serious injury, which is the Hefner knee injuries. And one of the solutions to this, because obviously when that was happening so much in our club, we as a coaches, we were like, no, we can't have those players just stop playing football, stop doing everything and just let them hang. And that's when the recovery sessions, and we've done a lot of our own research, and there's exercises like unilateral movements, which is a single leg movement, single leg RDLs, any type of balancing on one leg, any type of half squat or single leg squat, or even the candle pose, not the candle pose, tree pose from yoga. It's really, really great for that, because you balance on one leg, and that's therefore isometric type of training. Isometric type of training is one of the best ways to prevent the injuries, because therefore you're not moving, you isometrically hold one position, but every single muscle within your body is working. So everyone is familiar with isometric type of training. It's basically wall sit, plank, single leg hold, single leg stand, any type of movements that you stay in one position, that's isometrics. Now, another one is PhD, is the period during which adolescents experience their most rapid growth, typically occurring around the age of 11 to 14 for boys and 9 to 12 for girls. And then during PhD, the rapid lengthening of bones outpaces muscles and tendons adaptation, increasing the injury risk. So again, we're just growing so much, and then everything is extending, and if we put in more work on top of that, that's what happens. We are so vulnerable to those things. And then reduced coordination, changes in body proportions can temporarily reduce coordination and balance. Strength imbalances, growth spots can lead to muscle tightness, resulting in higher risks of strain and sprains, especially in joints like knee and ankle. So again, knee and ankle are, in my opinion, crucial, because they are very vulnerable and very sensitive, and they are exposed, because we walk all the time. And imagine those 10,000 steps, and if there is like little imbalance, those 10,000 steps at some stage might create something. That's why from my point of view, even Laura can prove it, that when I played, that's how I met Laura. She do some training with us at the clinic that I work, and one of the tests that we do ankle tests. Okay, I want to see when you land. So when you basically do a landing test, I want to see if you can land and if you can balance. So if I see if you're landing and this happens, okay, or if you're landing and your knee goes slightly out of balance, again, that indicates that there might be some issues in the future. from my perspective, what I would do as a coach, as a professional, okay, that's the area that we need to focus on. So I'm going to implement stability training. I want to stabilize those joints. Second one, I'm going to work on mobility. So I want to make sure that those joints are mobile enough. Because imagine you walk and things happen. You might fall, you might do those things. And if you don't have big range of motion, so your joints will get out of alignment. And if your range of motion is not big enough to accept that alignment, you're basically going to pull your muscles, because your joints going to get out of alignment. But if your range of motion is big enough that, for example, that joint will pull another joint, you're still going to be able to cope with that, because your joints, tendons, are mobile and flexible enough to hold that. That makes sense. Yeah. So preventive strategies. Okay. That was one of them. Okay. So yoga, yes, we said it that, but we're gonna be a bit technical. Okay. Strength training. We have strength training, appropriate strength training and neuromuscular training. Focus on quadriceps, hamstrings, and glutes can reduce the stress of the knee. I'm talking a lot about knee because this is the most common injury. Obviously, things like broken arm, things like that, yes, they happen as well. But ankles, knees, groin injuries, yeah, they are like lower limbs. Lower limbs are most serious because they can lead to the serious injuries in the future. So strength training, that's one. Flexibility and mobility. Targeting the quadriceps, hamstrings can help to accommodate rapid bone growth. But as well as upper body, lower body, everything. You want to be flexible enough to do stuff. And I always tell that to people that, like, especially a bit older people, like, imagine your last 10 years in life. If you want to spend those last 10 years in life in the wheelchair or not being able to get up from bed or not being able to do stuff, you have to take the decision 20 years before that to do a bit of activity, to do a little bit of exercises. Because that, the choices you're going to make now, 20 years in line, that's what you're going to get. So it's a long investment. Technique training, correct technique in movements, landing, jumping, can minimize the knee strain. That's another aspect which is really, really important, and I find sometimes I see a lot of people lacking to that they basically not paying enough attention to the correct technique, or they're trying to skip things too fast, not giving enough time for athletes to develop their muscles, because again, we are all different. Every different body type is unique. Sometimes different people may need different time to get something, or some people will get things faster. So being able to see the progress and being able to evaluate that and being able to actually periodicize the training accordingly, so we all getting better step as a step. And it's not about that to be the best at everything straight away. It's a long journey, and from my experience, the longer it takes, the better, because you are going to adapt better to those things, and you're going to become better athlete. At the end of the day, you want to be functional enough to run, play, or do whatever you want in your life.
Can I get you to pause
Yeah,
1 second there?
sure.
Just in case you didn't hear what he said. The longer it takes, the better, because it's more
Yeah, adaptation. Yeah.
adaptive. So just in terms of language that we have for our young people who are struggling, cheering on the fact that if it's taking you longer, isn't that better? Isn't that great? Because you're the one that's going to really get this in your body.
Yeah, you're going to get it right,
Yeah.
And you'll get it in and you have it. And it'll carry with you.
Yeah.
We heard about 100 or 200 rules, yeah? Like, you want to be good at something, you need to spend 100 into this,
Pardon, can you say?
100 rule, 100 hours.
Oh,
So if you
right,
want to
okay.
be really
The
good at
10,000
something,
hour thing,
yeah. You once you spend that amount of time of doing one specific thing, you really got to become master at something.
Yeah.
Or if you actually spending, and there was studies done, I think 15 to 20 minutes a day on specific subject for 1 year, you are already ahead of 80% of population just by 10 to 20 minutes a day. One specific thing, you're already that far ahead. So it's all about consistency, it's all about being disciplined, doing the right thing. Obviously, it's not easy. That's where the struggle is, but you know, that's what it is. Monitor growth patterns. Again, doing the tests and usually testing once a month, height, weight, and hip height. That you can actually see how fast they are growing. And if the growth is bigger than 1 centimeter, okay, then you can reduce 1 day of training. So let's just say if athlete trains 5 times a week and you see that the growth is bigger than 1 centimeter a month, okay, let's slow down, let's do 4 times a week and do a bit more stretching, okay, or maybe 3 times a week or 2 recovery sessions that could be yoga and things like that. So obviously it's all about that balance and periodization. Diverse physical activity, again, this is crucial. Like, not only, you know, if we have young athletes that are playing football, great, but that doesn't mean that they shouldn't be doing swimming. That doesn't mean they shouldn't be doing running. That doesn't mean that they shouldn't be doing any other activities. In my opinion, being diverse and do more, it's better, because you're going to learn more, you're going to develop more, you're going to be more aware of what you want to do in the future, because just because you do football at 9 years old doesn't mean that you're going to do this entire life. So it's always good to try new things. Dancing is actually really good, you know. Progressive load management. Again, that comes to the coaches. Again, we need to be cautious about what type of exercise we are asking our athletes to do. And that's also one of the cause of injuries. If we expect our athletes or our students to do something that they are not prepared to do, that can lead to injuries. Because let's just say if you want your athlete, for example, to squat, but that person never squat, you have to make sure that there are foundations to that. So you need to teach them that squatting is to sitting back, that don't make sure your knees are not going forward. Those little things, like, you might take them for granted and you'll be like, oh, because I can do squat, you should be able to do squat. You know, it's not always like that. So being aware of that, it's one of the preventive strategies.
And can I just body weight at this age, is there ever a problem with body weight being too heavy for one?
Depending on the sporting performance, yes, depending on the sports that they do. But it's not a problem. It's not a problem, it's just something that you need to monitor. Obviously, it's only a problem if you have a child that wants to be a footballer and out of nowhere that child is growing and gaining a lot of weight. So obviously that will stop that child from being faster, and you want that child to be still at the kind of competitive level. So obviously during that growth maturation change, a lot of things change. So even though there may be a bit overweight at the start, that will all change once they turn 15, 16. Obviously healthy eating habits, healthy relationship with food, I would call that. It's crucial, but it's not a problem. You know, it's never a problem. It's just it might be a limiting factor when it comes to sporting performance, but it's not a problem because those things change rapidly when you reach the age of 16, 17, and when you're mature enough and your body's mature enough to digest all of this type of things.
And it could be that that person has no other sporting outlet, like this is their sport,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and that's still the case then, you're saying.
Yeah. So if they have just this sport,
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Like if that's the case, that they only have one sport and the weight is the limiting factor, then obviously I would say, like, I would speak to the coaches. There's obviously nothing wrong with children being introduced to healthy eating habits. But again, I would say that has to come down to parents. So I would speak to a parent, I will actually try to introduce them. And most of the cases, you don't need to change much. Like once you said it, it reminds me of the story. I had an athlete, his name was Patrick, and he was 14 at that age when I used to work with him. And he was a good player, really, really good player, but he was gaining weight quickly. Like, he was just gaining weight quickly. And the head coach started to put him on the bench. And he came to me like, coach, what I can do? You know, like, I really want to play, but I'm gaining weight. I was like, Patrick, tell me, what are you doing? He's like, I want to lose weight, I want to lose weight. I was like, okay, Patrick, can you promise me something? All I want you to do now is stop eating sweets, stop eating pizzas, anything like that. Eat what your mommy made you, and drink lemon, hot lemon with water first thing in the morning for 5 weeks. That's all it takes. After 5 weeks, he dropped 6 kilos, you know. 6 kilos, that's really 15 pounds, you know. And it just, I didn't tell him that it's a bad thing that he's gaining weight or anything like that. Just introduction to different eating habits or relationship with food. Because at the end of the day, that's most of the times what it takes. Can I go forward?
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, neuromuscular training programs, so again, incorporating exercises such as agility drills, plyometrics and balance work has been shown to reduce the risk of injuries in youth.
What's a neuromuscular?
Neuromuscular adaptations, neurons. So our brain is full of neurons. Yeah, like our stress, how we deal with stress. So obviously any type of activity, that's the stress on our body, yeah, physical stress. Also neuromuscular stress. It's also stress on our head. Our head's getting tired as well. Our brain from thinking gets tired as well. Have you ever, if you go to work and if you work at the office at the end of the day, you're like, oh my God, you know, you're feeling tired. And physically you haven't done much, but you feel drained. And that's because of the neuromuscular neurons that are basically put under so much stress that recovery is crucial in those aspects. So not always training is just important. Like neuromuscular training programs such as agility drills, recovery drills, swimmings, yoga, walks, anything that is less impactful on your joints but still gives you a bit of activity, that's the neuromuscular trainings. Yeah.
So as an agility drill, give us an example of.
Agility drill example would be hopping. Yeah, hopping from right side to the left side. Skater jump would be skipping rope, that's agility drill. When it comes to yoga, down dog to upward dog, might be agility drill with the, when you get to down dog to up dog and bouncing from one side of the mat to another one, that might be agility drill. Basically anything that gets you moving and you need to change your directions. That's the agility drill. Now, benefits of yoga for movement awareness. Developing body awareness, mind and body connection, flexibility gained through yoga, improves range of motions, essential for many sports and physical activities. Mobility is not only about stretching, but also about strengthening muscles around the joints to support movement, which is crucial. Which is like, going back to everything what I said at the start, we're going back to the same thing again. Yoga helps with all that. Now, incorporating animal flow movements into yoga. So, animal flow is grounded-based movement that mimics the motions of animals. Example, bird crawls, crab walks. This approach builds strength, flexibility, agility in a fun and engaging way. How to integrate it with yoga? Many yoga poses are already animal flow movements. Seamlessly integrate with animal flow transitions from plank to low crawl. By combining yoga and animal flow, teams work primarily movement patterns to build a strong foundation for athletic and everyday activities. Engage core stability, improve coordination, and enhance overall functioning strength. Now, this subject is huge. Like, we have so many different movements. Like today we'll go through a few of them. Okay, we're gonna try to do that together. But yeah, you have bird, you have monkey, you have ape roll, you have crab swing, bird to crab, lazy dog, frog jump. And you can also be inventive and you can invent some of them. Like I can proudly say that I've invented banana rolls exercise. So I can show you that later, which is a great way of developing your core, to be honest.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
My
these are
son has dyspraxia, my youngest, and he goes to a physio, but she has given him all this sort of stuff,
Yeah.
so like the bear crawling
Yeah,
the whole way,
yeah.
and
it's
it's
crucial.
really good fun.
It's absolutely crucial because it's fun, it's very enjoyable, but at the same time it has so many physical benefits. You're literally learning anything, and if you look at it, you're like, if I would take those names away, yoga.
Yeah.
They're literally yoga. It's just named differently. So One thing I wanted to say, and I said that at the start, it's like a lot of sporting foundations, sporting like companies, they use yoga for athletic performance, but they use the word recovery sessions. Okay, they use that as a recovery sessions, but it's yoga. Yoga, Pilates, very soon, it's actually happening already. There's a lot of professional teams that started to incorporating reformer beds into their sporting activities. They get professional yoga teachers to come down. A lot of athletes, they have their own yoga instructors coming into them to train them because they are aware enough and they understand that this is crucial for any type of activity. I wish I'd done more of that when I was younger. I wish that was there when I was younger. Because when I was younger, all we thought, okay, 10 laps, that's it. Yeah, 20 push-ups, 20 squats. Nobody really cared about my knees or about anything. But again, that was that time. Now we are wiser enough. We have access to all of that. I think it's just being accountable enough and understand that we are in position to change a lot of people's lives. And we are in a position to help athletes become better, and that's why I love what I do. Like I love helping, and I treat every single person that I work with as an individual, and I try to tailor my job to their needs.
I'm just curious about this recovery session. Is it done after like a training session in your experience, or is it like it's the only session during the day? I'm just curious how it's done.
So I think I can show you the mesocycle. I show you the mesocycle of the whole professional settings in 2 seconds, so you can literally see how that looks like. Okay, there you go.
But normally for hosts it's after training sessions, that's why they're there. It's on the same
Come
day.
They wouldn't come for their
It's straight after.
Yeah. It's just let's do a rebound.
So recovery sessions are usually done after the game.
After
The game, so if you play a game on Saturday, you will do your recovery session on Sunday morning, or there's also sessions. Okay, I don't know why I cannot see that because I played that over here. Let me see if I can play that.
I'm just curious about the athlete's mentality.
No, it's a really good question. Yeah, there you go. So that's the game day. So if you see if I'm a strength and conditioning coach, that's basically my job. So that's the game day. So we have minus game day -1, 1 day to the game, 2 days to the game, 3 days to the game, 1 day past the game. So as you can see, that's usually Sunday. Nothing to do. Prioritize recovery. Swimming pool, yoga, stretching, anything, but not apart from football, apart from any specific training. Day two, 2 days past the training, we have first type of session. We get the athletes to the gym. We're gonna do a lot of foam rolling, a lot of yoga, Pilates. Then the session is 75 minutes, and usually our RPE is the rate of perceived exertion. So we scale our athletes from 0 to 10, so we know how difficult the session was. So they should feel that in RPEs the first thing in the morning, after the session, and before going to bed. So usually there's an Excel sheet, there's some way of communication with athletes that they need to fill that in. By knowing that, we know how tired they get. Their neuromuscular training, the neurons, if they're tired enough or things like this. Then the first aspect of the warm-up, it's A1, is the injury prevention. Okay, after yoga, we're gonna do some more isometric, which is most of the times yoga, just a bit of advanced yoga. If I'm gonna focus on leg movement, my first part will be getting ready. I'm gonna do some small stretches that eventually gonna build up to the big stretch. And at the end, I wanna have like 5 minutes of recovery, which is just lying down and relaxation, because your mind is also really, really important. Then it goes more football specific. We have practice of passing, and that's intensive passing, and that's the stage that goes to the main coach. Day 3, the pass, and the day -4. So that's the middle of the week that we work on the technique. Then Wednesday we work on fitness, endurance. Thursday we work on tactical setting, which is decision making and things like this. Friday tactics and Saturday game. So usually recovery sessions happens day or two after the game when they need it the most. So when they game, it's when they use their all energy. Now we want to slowly build them up for another game. So that's where the periodization comes along. There.
I just read the autobiography movie of Razor, big footballer in the 80s.
Razor.
Razor. He was in Liverpool. Liverpool and Man U, I think. Back in the day, like they're talking about Tuesday was the day they went out drinking. Yeah. Pints on Tuesday, and then we're back Because he was in Liverpool and Man U or some other teams that were really lower in the league had all got started and all this sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But he was in Liverpool. I was like, oh,
We were the
he went
best.
in really start drinking.
Yeah.
That's the football back in the day, you know. Back in the day, football was really technical. We have a lot of players that were naturally gifted, but nowadays it's very physical. It's like if you are able to run faster, if you can pass the ball from point A to point B all the time at the same time, if you're faster than another one, you're probably gonna end up being a good footballer because it's less tactical, less talented. It's just all about physicality of the game. Which again, that's another thing. That's also one of the
Sensors in your shoes.
yeah.
What?
So there's different type of shoes nowadays. You have podiatrists working with every professional team. They basically analyzing your feet. So the way you walk, they basically put the GPS tracker under your feet when you run, and then you have whenever you run. So you play 90 minutes, and then you see okay, that side works more than the other one, and then the shoes are all customized. And the second part is 4 types of different grounds. So you need to make sure if you're going to play on astro, natural ground, old ground, wet ground, things like this. Because different type of shoes, different type of tools, they're going to impact your performance. So, but that's nowadays. Back in the day,
I'm
no.
probably not allowed to earn over classes.
Last thing before we go into training, and this is one of the injury prevention protocol that I used to use with the trainers and with the athletes. So let's just say I'm always going to evaluate. Okay, so if I go to that, I can also show the FMS. So I'm going to show you the results of FMS. So FMS, 2 seconds. So you can just see how important is that. Yeah, functional movement screen. Functional movement screen, and you can see how quickly those things change. So you can see what are we evaluating. Okay. For example. So this one, so Achilles active straight leg test, left side, right side. POM, so the power output. Push-ups, proprioception, balance, single leg straight, shoulders, dorsiflexion, which is the ankles, overhead squat, single leg jump, bilateral jump, counter movement jump, squat jumps, 30-meter sprints, 10-meter sprints, and 5-meter sprints. And obviously the rest, that's what we should focus on. The amber, that's where it's okay, but there's a little bit of work to do. Green is perfect. So if you look at the January, how is the January? A lot of reds. Then we go half season, a lot of greens, you know. Again, you might not see that with the open eye, because you see those children see those assets every day. But if you do the test, if you do the analysis, if you're in yoga specifically, if you work with people more than a day or more than a week or 2, you already know them. That's why it's really important to do any type of analysis. Just record the way they squat, or record the way they do the down dog, the way they do the cobra, the way they do the different things. So then you can reflect in 4 or 5 weeks time. Okay, that was that time. Now it's that happening. So you can kind of catch some things. Yeah. So that's this, and then the injury prevention. So yeah, that's the injury prevention protocol. So if I have athlete was injured, I go basically what injury that was, if it's the hip dominant, if it's knee dominance, if it's horizontal push, if it's horizontal pull, vertical push, vertical pull, and basically evaluation to see what we need to fix. Okay, that's level 1, red, poor movement pattern. Level 2, amber, good movement pattern. Level 3, excellent technique. And then just slowly building the strength up. Mobilize, stabilize, strengthening. That's the protocol that you need to follow. Making sure that the joints are mobile enough to be able to stabilize the movement. At the end, once you have mobility and range of motion, then you can start implementing the strength aspect. And once you do those things from
Can I
the
get you to
start,
say that one more time?
mobilize, you need to make sure that you have mobility to
Then
stabilize,
Stabilize.
and at the end you can strengthen it. Right, the one thing, obviously we can do all that, and you're gonna see people that are less impacted to injury for, you're gonna see children that are more impacted to the injury. And it can happen that you're gonna do everything perfectly and you're still gonna get some children that get injured. You can't prevent that. But it's the same like someone once said, shoes not gonna make you faster runner, but it helps you run. It's the same with this. It's not gonna prevent the injuries, but it definitely will help you to prevent those injuries. Okay?
Good mornings.
Good mornings. It's basically standing position, hands behind. Good morning. That's a good morning. It's like an RDL on the straight leg flex. Okay, any questions? Is there any exercises that you would like me to show you or go through from that? Like obviously I can leave that over, so I can send that over to you, Lara, and if you ever want to use that, feel free. It's literally bulletproof, and if you're gonna
Yeah, because it's nice, each of them can be turned into a pose.
each of them can be turned into pose. Hardly just single leg pose, standing pose, and that's the beauty of yoga, because you can do so much. If you
Fire hydrants.
fire hydrants. Have you ever seen a dog?
Okay.
That's the fire hydrants.
Pull up and chin up in a yoga environment, what would give us?
Pull up and chin up in a yoga environment. What I always, what I would do, and that's with the use of towels, and if you have, that floor could be a good floor. Basically, you want to lie down on the floor, and then you're going to place the towel on the floor, and then basically you want to pull yourself up, push yourself up, pull yourself up, pull yourself down.
Why do you need a towel exactly?
Yeah, well, just to stabilize.
To slide more.
Exactly. So sometimes, the floor might not be proper for that. You can always do the knee tuck as well, so you get in the position. And the other one,
Sorry, is the towel in the first one underneath you, or is it like the bar?
like the bar. Yeah, but you can place it on the floor. So let's just say the floor is not great for moving.
Yeah.
You place the towel so you can have better grip. Does that make sense?
Better grip.
So
So
it's
it's
not
not
to
slide.
Yeah.
I know it's how to slide. Okay. So
You can have to slide. It depends on the surface as well. It
you
all,
definitely offer yoga mat for that because
Yeah.
the yoga mat.
yeah, there you go. Yoga mat is great for that. There's also like with the towel that you can do. So if you have, muscles are great. So again, you push and you pull. That's like a,
Is that being captured?
Yeah.
You actually
Yeah.
oh my